Yo, I want to talk about something that's been on my mind recently and something that I've struggled with in the past, and that's accountability. This is because I've been thinking recently about how, in times where I have had issues with my contentment or with my personal relationships or with my progress in work or fitness progress, how at those times I had a lack of accountability, and how at times where I'm feeling confident and feel like I'm making progress and feeling content, I actually was more accountable. I just wanted to discuss my feelings about accountability and how it can actually being accountable can enhance every aspect of your life, and having a lack of accountability, especially long term, will have a marked effect on your quality of life and life satisfaction, for the negative, that is. So before I talk about more, we're going to talk about what is accountability. So I would say accountability, or an accountable person, is someone who takes ownership, firstly, of their actions, the outcomes their action have, whether they're good or bad. An accountable person is someone who takes responsibility for things. So this is the person who's always volunteered to organize things. This is the person who, um, everyone knows that person who's just always volunteering to do things, always trying to get into positions of responsibility, even when it doesn't benefit them at all. And the person who isn't accountable is, the complete opposite, mostly of point one, right? So this is the person who never takes ownership or responsibility for their actions or the outcomes those actions have, especially when they're bad. When they're good, sometimes they will, but when they're bad, they'll come up with 101 excuses as to why it's not their fault, as to why it's someone else's fault, or they'll always come up with excuses. So this is the framework I'll use for what is accountable. Um, so if someone is okay, so let's say someone is not accountable, right? How do you know that you're not accountable? Because you need to know, you need to be able to diagnose this, right? So I would say there's a few different ways that you can tell you're not accountable. One is that you have goals and ambitions and things you want to do, and you never really make progress in them, and you don't know why. Like, you're always on and off. Sometimes you're motivated and going to the gym, or doing working on some projects, and sometimes you're just not. Sometimes you're waking up early and having a proper routine and eating well, and sometimes you're just not, and you don't really dig into why that's happening. You just let it happen. A second sign that you're not accountable, or that you're lacking self-accountability, is that the people around you aren't holding you accountable. The people around you aren't people who are holding you accountable, and they're not people who you hold accountable, right? So this is an interesting one, because generally people who hold themselves accountable want to be around people who hold themselves accountable, because they know, if you're that person that I know, if I call you out on some BS that you're doing, that you're gonna have a go, that you're gonna go mental, then like, you're the problem, right? You are the problem, because you're not gonna analyze the situation. You're not gonna look at yourself. You're not gonna, do any self-reflection. You're just gonna blame something else, or blame me, or blame whatever. You are the problem. So generally speaking, the people that are around people who aren't accountable are like doormats. They'll just go with whatever you say, and they'll either hide what they're feeling, or they just don't really care about you enough to call you out on it, right? And the third one is that you'll be doing stuff like scrolling on your phone for hours, or eating badly, or other bad habits, and in your head you'll have a voice in your head telling you that you shouldn't be doing this, that maybe you should stop doing that, and you'll just continue. You'll ignore that voice. You'll just continue anyway, and then afterwards, if anyone calls you out on it, or even if you call yourself out on it, you'll just make an excuse like, oh, it's not that important. It doesn't mean that much. Oh, it was only one time. These are three telltale signs that you're lacking self-accountability, right? And these three things, I mentioned that other people won't hold you accountable. This is going to have a direct impact on who's around you, because this is going to have a direct impact on who's going to be around you, because you're not going to be able to have the highest quality people around you, because the highest quality people hold themselves accountable, and they don't want to be around people who aren't willing to be held accountable. It's going to have an impact on any miscellaneous goals you have, whether this is career progress, whether this is fitness goals, health goals, reading goals, whatever, hobbies, because whenever you are not motivated, you're not going to do anything. Whenever you're not motivated, you're not going to do anything. You're just going to be a slave to your desires. Whatever you desire in that moment, if you desire a cake, I like cake though. If you desire cake, or if you desire, to scroll on your phone, Instagram Reels or Shorts, if you desire anything like this, that's just what you're going to go with. You're not going to be able to stop yourself. So you're not going to make much progress in life. And I have been like this, and it doesn't affect you straight away, but 3-4 years down the line, especially in these early 20s stage, you'll notice, you'll be sat there thinking to yourself, what have I done in the last few years? Why are the people around me why do they not really care? Why do all my relationships look the same in terms of, like personal relationships, like friends and stuff, in terms of they all end the same. And the friends who I do have, they're just yes men. They're just sycophants. These are things that you'll be asking yourself in a few years if you don't fix up, right? So how do you fix up? How do you hold yourself accountable? Well, it's, in terms of practical tips, you have to constantly remind yourself why you want to do certain things. So you have to have a purpose or a vision or a mission, right? And you have to put this at the center of your life and constantly remind yourself why you are doing these things. Perhaps that mission or vision, maybe it needs to change. And the moment it needs to change, you need to realize that and correct it. But you need to constantly remind yourself, you need to ingrain it into yourself that what you're going for is bigger than the small action that you're doing, right? Whether this is your health, right? Being healthy when you're in your early 20s may not seem like a big deal, but having good habits will build up and build up and build up. And by the time you're 60, you might be feeling the impact of that. Now, our 20-year-old brains or 25-year-old brains don't really understand that concept, but our brains do rather. Our brains understand that concept, but our desires and our feelings don't. So if you make sure you're always telling yourself, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want. This goal isn't for now. This goal is for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the line, even 50, 60 years, even after you die. Then that will help you stay grounded on what you're trying to do. Another thing is just I spoke about this in the other video, but it's just reduce the friction to those goals, right? So make it easy for you to take the steps. Make it easy for yourself to read. Make it easy for yourself to have a good diet, right? By not having bad food in your house. Make it easy for yourself to go to the gym, however, which way that can be. Like, for example, for me, my gym's at the office, so it's easy for me to go to the gym, right? It's really easy now. Just find ways to make it a bit easier for yourself. And I guess another tip I'll give, the last tip, is don't rely on motivation, because motivation goes up and down like this. And when your motivation is down and your desires are telling you to not do it, and sometimes it's okay, take a break. Sometimes it's fine. But if you just rely on your desires, you'll be going up and down like this. It's okay to have a dip, but your motivation and your desires are always going up and down and up and down and up and down. So don't rely on that. Rely on the vision that you have, the mission that you have. That way you'll be able to continuously make progress over the course of a year, not over the course of 2 weeks, right? Over the course of a year, you'll be able to continuously make progress towards the goal that you want. And if you compound that over years and years, that's where contentment comes from. Being happy with where you are and being happy with where you're going. Being content with those things. That's all I wanted to mention today. If you have any thoughts about this yourself, please comment below. If you enjoyed this content, like, share, and subscribe. Stay mindful, stay grounded, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.